Either kill me, or take me as I am, because I'll be damned if I ever change. My manner of thinking, so you say, cannot be approved. Do you suppose I care? A poor fool indeed is he who adopts a manner of thinking for others. In order to know virtue, we must first acquaint ourselves with vice. It is only by way of pain one arrives at pleasure. Fuck. Is one expected to be a gentleman when one is stiff? We are no guiltier in following the primitive impulses that govern us than is the Nile for her floods, or the sea for her waves. Sexual pleasure is, I agree, a passion to which all others are subordinate, but in which they all unite. If it is the dirty element that gives pleasure to the act of lust, then the dirtier it is, the more pleasurable it is bound to be. To judge from the notions expounded by theologians, one must conclude that God created most men simply with a view to crowding hell. What does one want when one is engaged in the sexual act? That everything around you give you its utter attention, think only of you, care only for you. Every man wants to be a tyrant when he fornicates. Certain souls may seem harsh to others, but it is just a way, beknownst only to them, of caring and feeling more deeply. The man who alters his way of thinking to suit others is a fool. Lust is to the other passions what the nervous fluid is to life. It supports them all, lends strength to them all. Ambition, cruelty, avarice, revenge, are all founded on lust. Beauty belongs to the sphere of the simple, the ordinary, whilst ugliness is something extraordinary, and there is no question but that every ardent imagination prefers in lubricity the extraordinary to the commonplace. How delightful are the pleasures of the imagination! In those delectable moments, the whole world is ours. Not a single creature resists us. We devastate the world. We repopulate it with new objects which, in turn, we immolate. The means to every crime is ours, and we employ them all. We multiply the horror 100-fold. Social order at the expense of liberty is hardly a bargain. Sex without pain is like food without taste. You say that my way of thinking cannot be tolerated. What of it? The man who alters his way of thinking to suit Othir is a fool. My way of thinking is the result of my reflections. It is part of my inner being, the way I am made. I do not contradict them, and would not even if I wished to. For my system, which you disapprove of, is also my greatest comfort in life, the source of all my happiness. It means more to me than my life itself. I want to be the victim of his errors. Your body is the church, where nature asks to be reverenced. All universal moral principles are idle fancies. The only way to a woman's heart is along the path of torment. It is only by enlarging the scope of one's tastes and one's fantasies, by sacrificing everything to pleasure, that the unfortunate individual called man, thrown despite himself into this sad world, can succeed in gathering a few roses among life's thorns. It is not my mode of thought that has caused my misfortunes, but the mode of thought of others. What we are doing here is only the image of what we would like to do. Sex is as important as eating or drinking, and we ought to allow the one appetite to be satisfied with as little restraint or false modesty as the other. My passions, concentrated on a single point, resemble the rays of a sun assembled by a magnifying glass. They immediately set fire to whatever object they find in their way. I don't know what the heart is, not I. I only use the word to denote the mind's frailties. The reasoning man who scorns the prejudices of simpletons necessarily becomes the enemy of simpletons. He must expect as much and laugh at the inevitable. Destruction, hence, like creation, is one of nature's mandates. True happiness lies in the senses, and virtue gratifies none of them. One must do violence to the object of one's desire. When it surrenders, the pleasure is greater. Happiness is an abstraction. It is a product of the imagination. It is a way of being moved, which depends entirely on our way of seeing and feeling. Can we become other than what we are? Let us give ourselves indiscriminately to everything our passions suggest, and we will always be happy. Conscience is not the voice of nature, but only the voice of prejudice. Love is stronger than pride. I've already told you, the only way to a woman's heart is along the path of torment. I know none other is sure. It is always by way of pain one arrives at pleasure. Nature has endowed each of us with a capacity for kindly feelings. Let us not squander them on others. Nothing quite encourages as does one's first unpunished crime. The past encourages me, the present electrifies me, and I have little fear for the future, and my hope is that the rest of my life shall by far surpass the extravagances of my youth. Variety, multiplicity are the two most powerful vehicles of lust. Life is a bitch, so enjoy it. Truth titillates the imagination far less than fiction. The completest submissiveness is your lot, and that is all. I assumed that everything must yield to me, that the entire universe had to flatter my whims, and that I had the right to satisfy them at will.